Anne-Marie is my name. I'm a national tour guide based here in Dublin in Ireland. I'm standing beside number 10 College Green. In 1983, the Irish Postal Service issued a stamp to commemorate the Ouzel Galley goblet. You may ask yourself, what exactly was the Ouzel Galley goblet? It was famously mentioned in James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. And the Ouzel Galley was a ship, similar history to the Marie Celeste, disappeared for a number of years and mysteriously reappeared. In 1695, the Ouzel Galley set sail out of Dublin here, out through Ringsend, en route to Izmir in Turkey to do some trading. However, this journey should have taken a year at the most. When 3 years later there was no sign of the ship returning, there was a lot of questions asked, there was a lot of consternation. What exactly had happened to it? The insurance company at this stage decided to pay out because it was gone for 3 years and was very unlikely to return. However, can you imagine the surprise in 1700 when the Ouzel Galley sailed back in through Ringsend and up the Liffey into Dublin? Excitement, exhilaration, delight, disbelief. They were certainly some of the sentiments that would have been around at the time. The other thing was that many of the wives of the 37 sailors on board and the 3 officers, many of their wives had remarried and had children by the new husbands. So after that, children born out of wedlock in Ringsend became known as Ouzelers. The captain of the ship was a man called Eamon Massey from County Waterford. And a lot of explaining had to be done. The ship crew claim that in the years when they were missing, that they were held captives by pirates in the Caribbean. Now, whether this is true or not could never be proved. The ship did have a lot of spices and valuables from the West Indies on board when it returned to Dublin. The crew claimed that in a night of drink and debauchery, the pirates were caught off guard and they took their ship back and sailed back to Dublin. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, an arbitration committee had to be set up because what was going to happen to all the goods that they had returned with? So this committee became known as the Ouzel Society Committee. And it was made up of 40 members, mimicking the number of people who were on the ship. And they called themselves Captain First Mate, very democratic. And they also engaged in a little bit of drinking, which hence the goblet and a commemoration on the stamp. But after that, they remained in situ, and they became an arbitration committee for shipping disputes that happened in Dublin. Years later, about 80 years later, they were subsumed into the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, and the society went into disuse. But however, it was reinstituted in 1988 as a charitable institution and was made up of members of various businesses who had contributed to the commercial success of Dublin City. So the mystery remains: the Marie Celeste, the disappearing crew, the Ouzel Galley, the disappearing but returning crew, and that's part of our folklore from Dublin City here.